Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The situation in the U.S. continues to improve, and I think in the coming weeks we're going to see an acceleration, the decline in cases. And one of the big reasons is vaccination. We've vaccinated 145 million Americans who've had at least one dose. About 100 million Americans have been fully vaccinated at this point. This has been a monumental achievement, rolling out this vaccine, getting that many Americans vaccinated, and it's going to continue.
There you go. Scott Gottlieb, Dr. Scott Gottlieb. We're going in the right direction. Yeah. We were always going to get there. It's just how were we going to get there? Most epidemiologists, virologists, doctors, they realize that herd immunity is not going to come specifically from vaccinations. Part of what was going to happen is there were going to have to be people out there that caught it, that defeated it, and then we're going to ride the antibodies for as long as possible. And I think that's what you're going to see. There we go. Heading into summer. Looks good. People are becoming optimistic, not just about this, but just in general of a lot of things.
Nearly two-thirds are optimistic about the direction of the country in a new ABC News Ipsos poll. 513 adults were surveyed Friday and Saturday. Numbers could be off 4.7 percentage points, plus or minus. 52% say the federal government should spend to revitalize the economy, even if it raises taxes. 23% think the country has become more united since President Biden took office. 28% say more divided.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to get that, but I think a lot of people feel pretty optimistic. I look around, people got some smiles on their face. There's just a different feel. It feels like we're getting back in the groove. We're back in the groove. Well, yeah, but it's because they stole it from Trump. I'm not here to debate that anymore. At this point in time, I've moved on. I think most people have. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Some of the insanity that's still going on in and around the country. But I think people feel optimistic. They feel like this year, as we're no longer heading into May, we're in May. Isn't that crazy? A year ago, we were going, what the hell's going to happen? We're shut down. We're hoping that summer was going to turn some tides, which it did when it came to this. But then fall came, and boom, away it went again. It was ugly at times last year. Last year seemed to last a lifetime for a lot of people. And now we're wiser. We understand it. States are opening up. Vaccination is out there. I think people are feeling good. Housing prices are through the roof, which is for a lot of people. They're excited. And now we're in a position where we're seeing more and more states lift their restrictions. Some states are holding on for dear life for some of those things. Others are starting to pull back and allow more of what we used to have, which was our freedoms.
The rate of vaccination is going to slow in the coming weeks, but we'll continue to pick up more people as we get into the summer. And if you want to get a harbinger of what it's going to look like, look at San Francisco right now. About 71% of people in San Francisco have had at least one dose of vaccine. 47% have been fully vaccinated. They're recording about 20 cases a day. They have about 20 people who've been hospitalized. So they've dramatically reduced COVID in that city, and it's largely a result of vaccination.
Yeah. I don't know if it's largely a result of that. Like, you go look at Los Angeles. They felt that 1 in 3 people had COVID. You couple that with vaccinations as well. You start looking up. It's the same thing here in Arizona. At some point, we had so many people that had COVID that the spread was tremendous. And part of that was the fact that we were open. But now we've gotten tons of people who've got the vaccination. We have had a lot of people that have had it. The spread is minimal comparatively for the state. We're in a good position. The question is, what comes in the next several months? How long do these things last? Where do we go from here when it comes to when the kids have the opportunity to get a shot? Are you going to give your child a shot? Are you not going to give your child a shot? People are still wondering that about schools. Why aren't some schools reopened? Why are some schools reopened, but it's reopened in a bizarre way where it's like a hybrid model, and it's not even really a hybrid model in the sense where you're going for 3 hours a day. It's every other day for a few hours. Teachers aren't even in the classroom in some of them. My son's school is one of those things where when he started back up again, teachers weren't in the classroom. They were Zooming from their classroom while their teachers were at home, which is the dumbest thing in the world.
The amount of classroom activity really depends on the amount of spread in the community. We know that the amount of disease in the community is completely reflected as to what's happening in school. If there's more disease in the community, there will be more in school, and that most disease in school does not come from in-school transmission, but comes from outside. So what we would advocate for is to have more kids in school as our community spread comes down.
Dr. and Director Rochelle Walensky, CDC. Yeah, that sounds great. Like, oh, yeah, wouldn't it be great? Kids should be back in school. Well, kids can get it. They can get it. I mean, we recognize, but the risk to them is minimal comparatively to a lot of other things out there. So everybody needs to take a deep breath. Kids need to be back in school. And schools across the country, especially in places where you've had a lot of fight with teachers, they're all starting to kind of test. Well, maybe we don't have to have the kids wear the mask outside. Maybe we should allow kids to do their own thing when it comes to being outdoors, and we can start to let the kids mingle again. And just to see where the pushback's going to come from. Some of it's parents, some of it's other teachers, some of it's unions. It'll be interesting to see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Hope you guys had a great, amazing weekend. Horrible situation when it came to immigration and a boat crash. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was awful. So once again, a bad situation when it comes to people desperate to get in this country. Trying anything to get to this country. And willing to pay a massive price to try to get into this country. In doing so, some of them paid the ultimate price.
Coast Guard received a report of a 40-foot trawler aground with multiple persons in the water.
A ship with at least 30 people on board crashing into a reef, capsizing as rocks ripped the boat apart.
Oh my gosh.
Crash sending more than 24 people flying into the water, at least 4 dying and 1 in critical condition.
Yeah. Horrific situation. Not the first time, won't be the last. I tell everybody this. People want to come here. They're escaping something horrific where they feel like they've got nothing. And because of that, what are they doing? They're willing to put their life at risk. And they're willing to pay a price to do that. A heavy price. A huge price. And I'm not just talking about life. They're willing to risk everything they have dollar-wise to get here.
This was a smuggling vessel. The smugglers really just don't care about the people they're exploiting. All they care about is lining their own pocket for profit.
Yeah. And it's awful. Boats around there were doing everything they could to help. But there was still a lot of people out there. I mean, you don't know what's going on. You're looking at this, and all of a sudden there's a nightmare. And we're blessed. Like, you hear stories about this, you think to yourself, this is here? Yeah, this is here. You hear about it in places like where people are trying to cross over and get to Italy or to get to another place, and the barge or boat capsizes, and there's way too many people on board, and people die. Luckily, there were people around that could get involved quickly and help.
I gave everything to my wife and said, I'll see you here in a little bit, and just jumped in the water.
Yeah. Cale Foll right there talking about what he did. A lot of people did the same thing. But it shows you, first of all, how amazing our country is, that people are willing to risk everything to get here. But also how bad it is in other places, and the desperation that people feel that they have, where they feel like they have to do anything to get to this country, to escape where they're at. And it's awful. It is absolutely awful. And I believe it's going to get a lot worse here in the coming weeks and months. We're going to have to figure something out because people have made up their mind. The old guy, right, the old sheriff is gone. New sheriff's in, and he doesn't feel like he's pushing people away, even though he's trying to push people away. And you've got, what's her name? Oh, yeah, Yeah, I know who that is. That's the Vice President, Kamala Harris, who's supposed to be slowly but surely negotiating to make sure that people in other countries stay there, but she's not paying any attention. She's not. And that's the frustration. And I do think it's going to get worse. And I think for the first time in a very long time, you're going to see a summer because of what we had last year with the coronavirus. I think that slowed a lot of people down. Plus, Trump had put in order in place that essentially said if you're coming here and you're going to apply for any kind of protection, right, refugee status because of whatever, you had to wait on the other side of a border. Well, I think what you're going to find at this moment in time is normally during the summer, things are down. But you have the desperation of the coronavirus over the last 16, 18 months. Countries that have been hard hit by it that are already desperate. I think during the summer, you're going to see people making a lot more effort to get here than they normally would because they are desperate. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, home title lock. We're talking earlier about housing prices through the roof. And they are through the roof. What's that mean? Well, if you've got a house and you know what, you've owned it for a little bit and you've got your title and you've got some equity in there, you're at risk. You're at risk from having your equity stolen. And you say, how does somebody steal my equity? It's simple. All of your information is public, right? So your title, all of that stuff is public. All it takes is a quick search to find out who owns homes where. They go and they just look at a body of they get the data and they start looking up everybody's information. And rather than steal your identity, they quick clean the deed to themselves and then they steal the equity in your home, which for many people is their future, is their retirement, it's their nest egg. Home Title Lock is here to protect you, to alert you to anything that would happen to your title, anything at all, even if it's something as innocuous as the title company itself, maybe adding a word here or crossing a T and dotting an I, you will be alerted to it. Right now, go to HometitleLock.com, use code radio, see if you've been a victim. You get 30 days free protection. So it's HometitleLock.com, code radio for 30 days free protection. Get it now. HometitleLock.com, code radio. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
After 17 years underground, trillions of cicadas are expected to start emerging. Swarms of the massive insects and their loud mating calls can bring anxiety for some.
They are coming. We're going to have to be living with these things for a while. So what can we do to help each other figure out how to cope with them?
Michelle Dillingham was unable to get out of her car in Ohio in the last big swarm in 2004. She's now started a Facebook community to help others.
A lot of the discussion is like strategies for like protective clothing.
One rule for the Cincinnati Cicada Phobia Safe Space, no posting pictures of the bugs.
Oh, yeah, that's right, kids. The cicadas are here. What happens if you see one? We were talking about it before the show, producer Anthony and I, about cicadas. If you don't know what they are, they're not the best looking bug, right? So it is very interesting to see the way that some people act towards, like, but there's just something about it. It's the noise, right? It's the nonstop noise. And I remember being in Palm Springs, and when they had issues, it was just the most. It was just incredible. It was 17 years. What are you doing for 17 years? But now, over the last several years, there's been places where they've disrupted them or something has happened. And it seems like it's an always thing, but this seems to be the year.
Take a couple deep breaths. Get yourself into a place where you're mentally ready. Remind yourself, I can handle this. I can do this.
Yeah. So if you see one, take a deep breath. All right. And just know they're coming, but they're not here to eat you.
They are coming. We're going to have to be living with these things for a while. So what can we do to help each other figure out how to cope with them?
But what are they going to do? Nothing. They're doing their thing. All right? By the way, there's 3,000 species from around the world that if you will, identify as some form of cicada. So that's a lot. Right? They're going to be okay. They're not here to eat you. They're here to do their thing, and that's it. It's kind of like the movie Jeepers Creepers, right? Every 25 years or 35 years, he emerges and does his thing. So there you go. So be prepared. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. And the noise. Now, Producer Phil, I'm sure you guys do you get a ton of them there?
Oh, we're going to be invaded, yeah.
It's so cool. So cool. When I was a kid, we used to have a lot of June bugs. That was kind of like it. Cicadas weren't really a thing. But now it's like I've lived places where there's cicadas. I'm like, this is a trip. Not so many June bugs anymore. And when I do see June bugs, tends to be more July bugs. It's kind of an odd thing. But be prepared. If you've got an issue, take a deep breath, all right? You're going to get through this thing. There are people out there who feel the same way you do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. This I found funny. So, to Blasio, he's like, all right, we got to get back to work, New York. So I'm going to call in everybody back who work for the city. Get your butt back into work. And so what are they doing?
We are still in a pandemic and public health crisis despite what the mayor says. To reach herd immunity, we need a vaccination rate of 70%.
Yeah, they're outside protesting the fact that they're in a pandemic and don't feel it's safe to go back outside.
I would feel most comfortable knowing that everyone had been vaccinated and I was sharing a space with folks who had been vaccinated.
Yeah. Enough. All right. Enough. That is, to me, hilarious. So, wait. You have been vaccinated. That's all that you need to know, right? Most people, I think, in most of these offices are probably going to be vaccinated. Some may not be vaccinated. But as long as you are, that's all you should care about. But I just love the fact that people are so worried about the I don't think it's time to go back yet, because people are loving being at home. They are. They love being there. And for city workers, that honeymoon is over. For state officials, pretty much most of that is over as well. The private sector is looking at this going, hey, it's a great way to recruit people. Flexible work opportunity from home. Interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We do expect the emergency use authorization to come sometime this week. Now, when can the shots be actually delivered? We're not quite sure, but we're thinking that it will be delivered in pediatric offices, and we could see middle schoolers and high schoolers starting to get the vaccine before school this fall.
Yeah, vaccine for kids. It's coming. I think this is like 12 up to 16 in some cases, because after 16 you can already get it, so it's no big deal. And as far as the younger, I don't know. My son's 10. I'd rather him not get it. His mother and I are talking about, if and when that opportunity comes. I'd rather him not. Well, why is that, Chad? You don't believe it? No, I do believe it. I've got zero problems with it. I've got Moderna. I took both shots. I'm fine. My issue is simply this. At some point in time, I don't know if we need to vaccinate everything all the time, all at once. Plus, we do enough when it comes to vaccinations, but kids nowadays, with antibiotics, we dip them in Purell. I think their immune system could use a little supercharging, and with something that does not seem to adversely affect children comparatively to things like the flu. And not every kid gets the flu shot, just like not every adult gets the flu shot. I don't know if that's something we need to do. There are going to be circumstances out there where people just want, hey, I want to send my kid to school. Maybe you've got grandma and grandpa living with you. Totally understand that. Totally get that. I think everybody can understand that. In saying that, I think at times we overprotect when we should allow the children to essentially, every once in a great while, like, get sick and just kind of just let their body fight it off. What their body's supposed to do. People are asking the question, like, when are you going to reopen schools? How fast are we going to get schools open? What's it look like? A lot of schools across the country are open. There's still some schools that aren't open, and some schools that are open kind of, but not really. It's a hybrid model at best, and they're always looking for a way to shut something down.
Should all schools in this country be open this fall for 5 day a week in-person learning regardless?
Based on the science and the CDC, they should probably all be open. There's not overwhelming evidence that there's much of a transmission among these young people.
Which we talked about from jump. It doesn't seem to be a huge thing. Not that it can't happen, but the jumping from kids to adults is very, very rare. And if you're vaccinated, you should have nothing to worry about. But it's also politics. And anytime you can make sure you, whoa. I don't know what he said, but we need to take a deep breath here because this might go against something that politically could continue to help us.
President Biden said in an interview that schools should probably all be open in the fall. Can you clarify, is it the Biden administration's position that all K-12 schools should be back full time, in-person learning, start of next school year?
80% of the teachers and school personnel have now been vaccinated. Now, he said probably. He didn't say absolutely. But given the science, if the vaccination program proceeds, he does believe that schools should be able to reopen in September. But he said probably. He did not say absolutely.
Anytime you can drag something on for as long as you possibly can. That's Annette Dunn, the Biden advisor. She is there. She didn't say totally. He didn't say he's maybe, kind of. You're not quite. Get schools open. Period. Just get it open. It's time. It's time for us to get schools open. It's time for kids to be back in school. It's time. I think we can all admit this side of it hasn't been handled extremely well. It got uglier the more it got political. Then we had parents and teachers fighting amongst themselves, which was ridiculous and continues to be so. It's time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Speaking of time, for the Republicans, I saw they tried to anything they could do to Mitt Romney over the weekend, they could try to do. The GOP, they booed him. There was this convention, this Utah GOP convention. They booed him. They tried to censure him. They wanted to recall him, impeach, anything they could try. All of it failed. And it all had to do with what took place and has taken place over the last really year plus because of Trump. Not everything Trump did was bad. You guys have heard it from me. I've talked about it. There's a lot of stuff I liked that Trump did. And there was other stuff that I wasn't too thrilled about. Right now, here in Arizona, we have this insane recount going on, led by the cyber ninjas, right? So they're led by cyber ninjas. Their liaison is a guy named Ken Bennett, who he was an original birther. And they also have a guy that is counting the votes, who's a former legislator who, here in Arizona, who also was at the Capitol on the 6th. And they're the ones that are going through and looking at everything. Fine, is what it is. I sit there and I just go, they're weighing the ballots in the paper. Is this the right weight? They've used UV light in some of the things that they're doing.
I know there's a lot of people focused on the UV lights, and when I tell the media what they're looking for, and they say there's no such things on the ballots, then my response is, again, then they won't find anything. So if they're looking for something that's not there, then they'll simply confirm that and go on to other things.
Yeah. So So that's what they're looking for. So that's going on. Now, mind you, this is after 3 audits here. But those weren't good enough. These were not good enough. Now we're on to a 4th audit. And it's funny because they're only auditing Maricopa County. That's here in Arizona. That's the Phoenix area. That's all essentially they're auditing. They're not auditing the entire state, and they're not auditing every race, just the presidential race. And I sit there and say to myself, you guys realize, just for the sake of argument, let's say you find something untoward. Let's say you find something where the actual votes were rigged or something like that. The ballots are faked. That means all of those races are illegitimate. You can't, none of them are legitimate. How can they be? And you're going to have to go state by state then. Great. If you can, do it, if that's what you think. But at the same time, we're allowing essentially a group of people, and the guy who runs the place, the cyber ninjas, he is a forever Trumper and a stop the steal guy. Now, who goes and audits them? Because I said 3 weeks ago before this started, let me tell you how this works. Trump wins, and they find a bunch of nefarious stuff. Oh, see, then it'll be legal. That's when the right one. That's the thing in this. If this doesn't come off, it's because either these guys were paid or the real ballots were hidden, and these are fake ballots. You always figure out a way around a story. And at some point in time, you have to go, it's time to move on. Roger Marshall, Kansas, Republican.
We're just so ready to move on. I made a decision based upon the facts that I knew at that point in time. I was concerned then, and I still am today, that 6 states broke their own laws or their own constitution. But it's time to move on. It's time for this country to heal. It's time for a spirit of forgiveness to be happening. It's time for this country to work together and focus on the goals that we can solve together. We've got plenty of challenges right now. We're making great progress coming out of this COVID virus. The economy's bounced back. It's time to move on.
Yeah, it is. If you find something great, but at what point, if your only goal is I'm going to count, and do until I find the thing that I want, and if it isn't, I've said this over and over, and we've talked about it because obviously it's a big story here, that if you go and you find something, well, that's something we should pay attention to. 100%. But then if people find out that you cheated, how does that look for Republicans and everybody else who supported this? It's time to move on. People are moving on. Some people aren't. Some people are going to continue to live in the past. And he's right. Look, there were 6 states that did things that they shouldn't have done. And that's a fair question to ask. In saying that, we're also in a position at this point in time that, was it enough to overturn an election? Does this help move anything forward? Does this help the Republican Party? I don't think it does. And in places like Arizona that has become purple rather than red, I think this hurts them far more than they realize. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Caitlyn Jenner.
Hi, Caitlyn. So there's legislation in various states to ban biological boys who are trans from playing girls' sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
This is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair. And we have to protect girls' sports in our school.
But if someone transitions and now identifies as a girl, isn't it delegitimizing their identity to prevent
Have a good day.
Interesting. I understand what Caitlyn's saying there, and I think most people agree. They don't want to say it because they feel like, people are going to be mad at me. It's not the woke thing to say. Here's the reality of it. In most cases, it's not fair. It's not. Now, if you started transitioning when you were 2 or 3, little fair. If you did it when you were 15, It's not fair. And we never talk about it going the other way, right? We never talk about it. Do you think it's fair that a girl that transitions to a boys plays men's sports or boys' sports? No, because she's never here. Why is that? Because more often than not, you're getting crushed. And the rest of the time, you're not even playing to find out if you get crushed. That's kind of the reality of it. And of course, everybody's like, "Oh, they're freaking out about it." How that's not very woke to say. No, it's not. Many times in life, things that are worth saying because the reality shows that this is kind of what it's about, and it's not woke, and it's probably not going to make people feel nice, but it's the truth, and we have gotten away from the truth. And of all the people, right, and I know Caitlyn Jenner has been a lifelong Republican, but of all the people that would know, wouldn't it be Caitlyn Jenner? Do you think back when Caitlyn was Bruce running in the Olympics and competing in the decathlon, that if they said, "Hey, you want to compete against the women," do you think that he at the time would have done okay? I think so. And if we're that worried about it, why don't we just have sports? We won't have boys teams or girls teams. We'll just have teams. And then everybody can play, and we'll see how it goes from there. Why not? Maybe we should try that. Maybe we should just have gender-free sports and then see what happens. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. My Pillow has my slippers, and they're awesome. They're incredible. 40% off right now with promo code Benson. Durable all day, indoors, outdoors. Beautiful leather, suede, faux fur linings. And the sole of them are amazing. So you get moccasin and slip-on styles, all kinds of colors. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty. But it's the sole that is just incredible as far as the indoor-outdoor. You can wear them all day. They've got the MyPillow patented fill, the Comfort Memory Foam, and now patented Impact Gel. It's made from U.S. soybeans. It's revolutionary. It absorbs impact and relieves pressure. After a day of playing golf like I was yesterday, I put them straight on, and super comfortable. I mean, amazing. Should tell them, put some spikes on the bottom. That way you can have some golf shoes. So for limited time, 40% off right now. So you go to mypillow.com, get your My Slippers, okay? Enter promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975, 800-983-4975. Check out all the other deep discounts on all the other great things, but get yourself some slippers right now. My Slippers from MyPillow, mypillow.com, promo code Benson, mypillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
If you're keeping score at home, Demon Slayer Mugen Train is now #1 at the box office. The animated adventure, which opened in second last week, overtook Mortal Kombat, earning about $6.4 million domestically for a total take of $34.1 million. Mortal Kombat falls to second, taking in another $6.2 million.
I felt something up there. It's bad.
The horror flick Separation bowed in fourth with $1.8 million.
Demon Slayer. No Yaba, the movie. Mugen Train is what it's actually called. I'll watch Cartoon Network. Oh, Rick and Morty's on, and they'll have the commercials for the anime, and I have no idea what any of these are. It's always has something to do with school, like schoolgirls. There's an octopus. Somebody's a ninja. Somebody's a really bad person. I'm like, I have no idea. So it's an animated dark fantasy period action film based on shonen manga series Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Here's what's crazy, right? So you guys ready for this? The film was released in October of last year in Japan, received positive reviews from critics with praise for character development, action sequence, emotional depth, and faithfulness to the series. It's grossed almost $500 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing film of 2020, as well as making the first Japanese film and first anime film to reach that milestone of $400 million worldwide in the box office world. Crazy. Crazy. Never seen it. Never seen it. That's huge, huge money. I've done some anime stuff in the past. Let me tell you something. It's just a lot of you go and you voice the same thing over and over again because you're trying to sync up. And it's doesn't pay great either. Letting you guys know that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Your love, your hate. A lot of stuff like that. People are already texting in about, Chad, you know what? We should do a full recount of the 2020. And I'm like, why are you only recounting places where Trump lost? I find it impossible that Trump, that he got more votes than Biden. Why? There are more people that are voting. And remember, Biden didn't win, Trump lost. You got to think of it like that. People's reactions towards things they hate are usually stronger than a lot of times than towards things they like or love. Think about that. Trump was one of those people that got people to have a reaction. And with that comes people's disdain, and they will usually react. And they did. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Are you going to be one of these folks now? We're no longer going to see the President of the United States outside with a mask on?
Sure. Look, you and I took our masks off when I came in because look at the distance we are. But if we were, in fact, sitting there talking to one another close, I'd have my mask on and I bet you'd have a mask, even though we've both been vaccinated. And so it's a small precaution to take that has a profound impact. It's a patriotic responsibility, for God's sake.
No, it's not. It's stupid. It's idiotic. It's theater. Last week, MIT, pretty smart guys and gals at MIT. What'd they come up with? Doesn't matter if you're 6 feet or 60 feet. None of it matters. The mask really does nothing because the particles are too small. They get through. It's the amount of time you spend in a certain space. You guys are completely vaccinated. Why in God's name? It's a charade. It is a charade, Chad. A charade. It is theater. It's stupid. You want people to get vaccinated? You better come up with a better idea that, hey, if you get vaccinated, you get to still wear your mask all the time. It's the dumbest thing. I'm serious. Oh, yeah. Look at the distance we're apart. We're yelling at each other from across the room. We're safe. Both of you have been vaccinated. Neither of you haven't. The reason that you're doing it is what? Who out there is going, I refuse to wear a mask? Then they see Joe Biden and go, I think I'm going to wear a mask. Nobody. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. How many people? 0. But none. But not a soul. Nobody is. It's patriotic. It's stupid. It is. Look, months ago, I understand. Even if you're not vaccinated, okay, if it makes people feel good, put 2, 3, 4, 5 masks on. Don't go inside of a room. Be outside, whatever. These arbitrarily bizarre rules of like, well, if you're outside with more than 3 people and one of you is over 5 foot, 11 and the other person's under 5'4", they come up with these weird rules. At the end of the day, if you're vaccinated and other people are vaccinated or not, and you feel healthy enough and good enough about the vaccine, this is stupid. Here at my work, everybody that's in the building at this moment in time, we have a good majority of our crew, sales, promotions team, all the web people, all of those, a good good portion of them are not in the building. But everybody else who is essentially some of the upper management and some of the sales assistants and then the news team and the on-air staff. Everybody here has been pretty much vaccinated. The fact that we're wandering around still wearing a damn mask is ridiculous. Well, you could get it. I could get it. It's a risk I'm willing to take. But the charade is stupid. The theater is stupid. It is. I think everybody realized, maybe this is dumb. Maybe we can think about something else. Last week, people were going, I wonder what the CDC is going to say now. If you're outside, it could be okay to not wear a mask. Shut up. Dodger Stadium's getting ready to have they're having an area that is going to be for people that are fully vaccinated. And if kids are going to come, they have to have a negative test within like 72 hours of the game or something like that. But you still have to wear your mask. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Everybody around me is fully vaccinated, and nobody has it, according to the latest test, who aren't vaccinated, and those are only children. And yet, I still have to wear a mask. Well, what's the use? Basically, I can just go anywhere in the stadium at that point in time. You've not done anything other than say, am I right? Or it's just I got to wear a mask the entire time? Well, if I go over here and I watch the game at a different place, I could have to wear a mask too. You've not done anything. You just told us we all have to sit here. It's the dumbest thing ever. It is stupid.
The situation in the U.S. continues to improve, and I think in the coming weeks we're going to see an acceleration, the decline in cases. And one of the big reasons is vaccination. We've vaccinated 145 million Americans who've had at least one dose. About 100 million Americans have been fully vaccinated at this point. This has been a monumental achievement, rolling out this vaccine, getting that many Americans vaccinated, and it's going to continue.
Yeah, Dr. Scott Gottlieb there. It's going to continue. We're going to move forward. It's going to get better. It's going to continue to get better because the other people that haven't got vaccinated, or for whatever reason, some of them have already had it, and they're like, you know what, I've had it. I don't need to get vaccinated, which is totally fine. I got zero problems with that. By the way, I had it. Got vaccinated anyways. So there's a lot of people out there that have had it, aren't getting vaccinated, but now count towards that group because I see they're starting to do that now, and a lot of people out there that have gotten at least one, if not two shots. It's simple. We're getting to the place where we should just now start to live our lives again and tell everybody who hasn't been vaccinated, you guys get the score. If you get sick, and it's like anything in life, you're willing to accept. That's the thing. People, we're trying to protect people who get it, right? They're fine with the risk. Well, if you're fine with the risk, then let me get on with my life and tell these politicians and these naysayers and these do-gooders, hey, they're cool with this, so we're getting on with our lives.
The rate of vaccination is going to slow in the coming weeks, but we'll continue to pick up more people as we get into the summer. And if you want to get a harbinger of what it's going to look like, look at San Francisco right now. About 71% of people in San Francisco have had at least one dose of vaccine. 47% have been fully vaccinated. They're recording about 20 cases a day. They have about 20 people who've been hospitalized. So they've dramatically reduced COVID in that city, and it's largely a result of vaccination.
And people that had it. California had a grip of people who had it. It got to the point where it had spread, and, I think we realized for a lot of people out there, as precautious as people were. Look at me. I got it. Family got it. I don't go anywhere outside of coming to work. I see the same 5 to 8 people a day in person. Some days 10, but that's about it. I go home. I live pretty much out in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. And on top of that, I see nobody. I work a lot of hours, still manage to get it. Extra precaution I took. It gets to the point where it finally spreads. Spreads. What are you going to do? The charade is over. It's time for us to take off the mask, start living our lives. Who's with me? Raise your hand. Fantastic. You. Oh, looks like most of you. And I'm going to get you just don't understand, Chad. I get that. You want to continue to wear masks. There are some people out there who want to wear the mask, who want to stay indoors, And wear the mask always, right? I see people, I'm driving, I look over and there's people wearing a mask in the car by themselves. Who's that for? What do you think's going to happen at that speed? Just curious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. COVID, infrastructure. They're doing everything they can. They want more money. They want to send people more money. More money.
President Biden's first 100 days in office has been marked by a take-it-or-leave-it approach on massive, sweeping initiatives that have long been wish list items for the left. I was part of a group of 10 Republican senators who tried to get to a place of unity on the president's COVID-19 relief proposal. He invited us to the Oval Office. He listened. He asked questions. But ultimately, he did not budge. What we got instead was a $1.9 trillion package that was 90% filled with items unrelated to COVID relief.
Yes, because that's exactly what it's about. Remember what we talk about when we talk about these bills. What happens in the world of bills? You name it something soft and sweet, and inside of there, you put all of your wish list and goodies, and then if somebody doesn't vote for it, it's only because they're evil, right? It's like feed the hungry and poor for the better of mankind bill. And then you put in there $3 million for that. Right? And then trillions of dollars for other crap. And you're like, I'm not voting for that. And it's like, well, that's because you hate the poor. It's like, really? Is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Now, we all wanted funding to ensure rapid distribution of vaccines and stimulus checks to help struggling families. What we didn't want was things like bailouts for states that didn't need more funding to fight COVID, or for the stimulus checks to go to prisoners. Now, we're seeing the same scenario play out on infrastructure. By the president's own admission, only about 1/3 of his $2.5 trillion infrastructure bill will actually be spent on traditional infrastructure.
And some of that's going to be a little bit more modern stuff, right? When it comes to infrastructure. Okay, high-speed internet, things of that nature. Okay, but a lot of it's not going to those things that we need. It's very frustrating, but it's about other people's money. Even today now, I've seen 2 or 3 articles where like, it's not just going to be the rich that are going to have to pay for this. They're going to have to tax it elsewhere. You're like, oh, are they? Of course. As we talked about over the last several weeks, you can take all of the people who are wealthy. I'm not talking about somebody who's worth a couple $1 million. I'm talking about somebody who's wealthy. You take all of their money, and it's still not going to be enough. So, yes, eventually all of us will be paying for this. Some of us sooner rather than later. But I do believe everybody will be. And then we look back, and if you look inside the bills, and this is where if you care about politics, if you care about the issues that are at hand, if you care about the way they spend money and how they spend money, you look into some of these things and you find out, well, that's not really where everything's going. But when it's other people's money, they spare no expense. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Raycon, best earbuds around. All weekend, I had my Raycons on, thank goodness, because yesterday, I tell you what, playing golf in what was the worst, I was telling the guys, the worst wind I've ever played. And I've played in Europe, in England, and Scotland, on the coast, and had wind that was horrific. Nothing like yesterday. There was times you couldn't hear yourself when I was out on the range before I went back and got my Raycons. It was that bad. But my Raycons powered all the way through. Listened to some audiobooks, rocked out to some music. It was amazing. The Raycons are built to perform anytime, anywhere. Water and sweat resistant. Bluetooth that pairs seamlessly and quickly. And with enough battery life for 6 hours of playtime, you can unplug and relax. On top of that, no wires, no stems. It's just incredible. 45-day happiness guarantee. You don't like them? You send it back. You want new earbuds at a price that's right? These are them. They're Raycons. They have amazing styles, colors. Check them out for yourself. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. You're going to save yourself an extra 15% right there buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers. One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's find out what's trending, shall we? Start over on Twitter. Find out what's going on. Pfizer, Moderna. Pfizer's hoping sometime this week they'll get emergency approval to start vaccinating kids. Probably ages 12 to 16 or 18. I don't know which one gives shot to 16-year-olds. So that's what they're hoping for sometime this week. Top of that, Alan Dershowitz referred to the FBI raid on Rudy Giuliani's apartment and office as not constitutional. And he says he's agreed to assist Giuliani in the legal defense during an interview on the Cats Roundtable radio program. So he's going to help him out. There, I saw a bunch of the muckety-mucks in the media world had to retract some stories this weekend about Giuliani. I apologize because, they lied. Well, they said stuff that wasn't true, thinking it was true because they heard it from somebody else. Herd immunity. According to a New York Times article, there's a consensus among scientists and public health experts that the herd immunity threshold is not attainable in the U.S. It's just not attainable. Can't happen. Fear, kids, fear. Head on over to the magical world of, yes, kids, Google. Find out what's trending over there. Teacher Appreciation Week is this week. Don't think there's going to be a lot of that. More fighting and I guess now, if you're at home and your mom or dad were the teachers, for a lot of it, do you give them an apple? Do you give them something? It's possible. Kim Jong-un in North Korea, they warned the U.S. over Biden's big blunder. Who say that? Biden's big blunder. Biden's big blunder. Biden's big blunder. Biden's big blunder. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what he did, but it sounds big. Sam Burns won his first PGA tournament, trending yesterday, as well as Kentucky Derby horses. People trying to figure out who won, how'd they win. Critical race theory is trending. White House support of critical race theory debunks Biden's unity. And Manchester United and Liverpool. If you didn't see yesterday, we're going to talk about it, but one of the biggest games in Europe, one of the biggest games always, is a game between Manchester United and Liverpool. Two arch enemies in the world of soccer or football. And yesterday, the game was postponed due to, essentially, protest and rioting. Not with fans from other teams fighting, but clashes with the police and protesters over the ownership of Manchester United and several of these clubs who tried to break off and start a super league in Europe. And now they want these owners out. People who own Manchester United are the Glazer family. Same people own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've owned them for a while. And you're going to see a lot more of this in the coming days, weeks, and months with a lot of these teams in Europe who are pissed off because, hey, some of these teams tried to bounce and set it up so they're the only ones who win. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think a great many of us have been deeply frustrated and outraged by the rise of woke corporations. We're seeing CEOs of big Fortune 500 companies who've decided to throw their lot in with the Democrats and become the political enforcers for the woke mob. And whether it is Delta Airlines or Coca-Cola blasting the Georgia election laws, whether it is Major League Baseball yanking the All-Star game out of Atlanta.
Ted talking about Coca-Cola and wokerations, which are corporations, saying he's done with it, over it, over this. Now, like Coke and a lot of these other places that were headquartered in Atlanta and in Georgia, they slammed, for instance, what took place over the last, month or so with the new election laws because they thought, well, this is the right thing to do. But they didn't go as far as some of the other places because this is still their home and they don't want to make it look like, hey, we don't want to do business with the people that live here. In fact, Stacey Abrams, who still running out there saying that, she lost by 80,000 votes, but it was stolen from her. She's running out there and saying, whoa, no, you guys need to invest in Atlanta. You need to invest in Georgia. You don't need to run away, which is, this coming from a Democrat. And normally we'd say, well, you're getting, but no, she didn't want to look at because it's still their home. So he's coming out and saying, hey, I'm over these PACs. I'm over these people.
And I got to say, my attitude, I'm fed up with it. I'm sick of it. I think a lot of Americans are sick of it. And so I announced this week, as of this point going forward, I will not accept any contributions from corporate PACs, not a penny. In the 9 years I've served in the Senate, corporate PACs have contributed $2.6 million to my campaigns. And I've decided enough is enough.
Yeah. Oil and gas, real estate, PACs, law firms. You go through and look at it. Boeing, $5,000. Corporate PACs are big. They are. Because you're giving something in hopes of getting something. Now, people are like, oh, I can't believe you. He's saying as of now, he's not doing that. As of now. I'm done with it. I don't want any part of it. Which, and it's great because if you go to the Bernie Sanders route, if you can, that's a good thing. Get the individuals to give you some money. That way you're not beholden. But we know that that's not really something you can do. For some of these people, they just, big corporations aren't going to go to Bernie because they know they're not going to get a meeting with Bernie, and people, they're just not. The unions may, but outside of that, they're not. Big corporations will still court power on both sides of the aisle because they know that they need some of the power that those people have, and these people need their cash.
If they're going to behave as enemies of the American people, enemies of liberty, if they're going to engage in lies and willingly be weaponized as economic tools of punishment for the Democratic Party and the radicals who are doing enormous damage to the country, then I want nothing to do with that endeavor.
Yeah, totally understandable. And let me tell you something. A lot of these CEOs, and we've talked to several, and they tell us they hate it. They hate it. A downturn in the marketplace, right? A down quarter or two is less stressful than being weaponized. And knowing full well that it's an optics that they have to, at this point in time, feel like they must abide by, which I find to be asinine. Just say, hey, look, we're apolitical. We'll advertise on both sides of the quote-unquote aisle. But we're apolitical. We want no part of any of this stuff. We make a beverage. We make a widget, whatever it is, and you go from there. But it's too late now. And these industries are being used, these big businesses, in many cases, by people who don't even use their product, but want to use those people who do run that product to turn against the people that actually do. And it's silly and it's stupid, but this, alas, is where we're at. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I found this to be disturbing. as somebody who's been paddled in school, by the way. And I don't even, this entire situation. So you got a 6-year-old girl in Florida, right? You got a little girl. She's 6. Mom comes in because this little girl has done something to a computer. The computer, by the way, the damage was $50. I didn't even know where you got that. Like $50. What happened there? You had to take it in, and it was $50 for the guy at the Apple store, whatever. Say you get to hit Control-Alt-Delete here and do this, and you're fine. But the principal and a clerk, what they did here was awful. They paddled a little girl over a $50 issue.
Say what's going on. Wait. Put your butt out. Out.
That's a school principal.
No, put your hands down.
Hitting a 6-year-old with a wooden paddle in front of her mother. The principal, the woman with the paddle, Melissa Carter and Cecilia Self, a clerk, are the 2 women in the video. The child's mother recorded this video.
What would your mom have done? Well, I wouldn't have done something like that. No, come on. For me, look, that stuff's going to be handled. Mom brought the cash to pay it up. Didn't even really know what happened. I don't know how they're blaming it on it. Again, you've got, and by the way, this principal is like a VW bus with a wig. This isn't a 15-year-old that has done something ridiculous, right? This is a 6-year-old who probably has no idea what took place. Mom didn't quite understand what was going on. Didn't quite get it. I think there was a language barrier with issues. Like, I was today, I was talking to one of the people over here. They're like, hey, what are you guys talking about? And, and I said, oh, I'm talking about this. Now, you go to a private school where there's always the threat of that. And you heard about nuns, slapping your wrist and, paddling. We're past that point now. Corporate punishment should be brought back. It's a parent and child thing. It doesn't work. I think we all realize that. It doesn't. This right here, it was insane. And mom's standing there. I'd have lost it. Somebody's getting punched in the throat. It's my kid. Sorry. Papa Bear works like this because he's Papa Bear.
Why didn't she stop the beating?
Si yo lo hubiera hecho con mi propia mano, a mí me hubiera ido mal. Yo no sé, yo estuviera en la cárcel.
Mom told deputies the school called saying her daughter damaged the computer. The fee, $50. In the report, Mom says the school also mentioned paddling, with her and a deputy present. In the report, the mother says she didn't understand the process correctly. Later that day, she went to the school to pay the fee, and they took her into the principal's office.
Behaving and taking care of the stuff. You don't keep messing up things. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Like, what is that accomplishing? Well, she'll learn. She going to learn? You terrified her. Like, what are you learning there? To be terrified of a giant adult with a paddle? No, it's not how you handle things. It's not. And now we're going to find out what it's like to be paddled, Mrs. Principal.
Mom took her daughter to the doctor that same day, documented the red marks and bruises. She now worries about the long-term psychological damage.
For aggravated battery, this is an aggravated battery. It's battery using a weapon that can cause severe physical harm.
Brent Pravinsky is the family's lawyer.
There's nothing she can do in the hands of these adults who overpower her and treat her brutally, savagely, and really sadistically. If you look at that video, this principal was sadistic.
Yeah. And the clerk. Looks like both of them are going to face charges. I tell you what, I would have lost it. As a pops, not going to happen. Sorry. We deal with that in other ways. Right? You want a new computer? I'll get you a new computer. She was bringing $50. Well, she broke something. Well, kids will do kid things. When you're 14, that's when I got paddled. I was in junior high. By the way, I have extremely high threshold for pain. Like, ridiculously high. So, I just laughed, and I said, then Animal House at the time was one of my favorite movies. I said, thank you, sir, may I have another? I'll like Kevin Bacon. I did not do well. But needless to say, I got kicked out of that school. My mother couldn't find schools to put me in. But my dad was not thrilled. My mom had to stop my dad. He goes, I'm going to go down there and pay some people a visit. I'm like, Mom's like, no, Spencer. She had to explain to them, I had to stop my husband from coming down here. He goes, would have been good. She goes, it wouldn't have been good for you guys. It wouldn't have. Sorry. You're not in that position as an adult. What happened to hey, this costs $50. You know what I'm going to have you do? I'm going to have you work after school. I'm going to talk to your mom every day after school for the next month. You're going to have to come here, and at recess, you're going to be in here every day, cleaning and helping do all these things until you can pay this back. Just that right there, unacceptable. Sorry. And I think we're too soft on kids, but I think there's a point where you're like, she's a child. She's not a 15-year-old who did something asinine and stupid. This isn't a Catholic school where you're expecting the nun to come over and wrap the ruler over your knuckles. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Car Shield. Love it. Have it. When I need it, I use it. And it's always nice to have something as a just in case. And that's what Car Shield's all about. With Car Shield, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And you choose that shop. They get them paid directly. And that's something that is great. So you pay a small deductible, but you're not paying Car Shield's not having you pay for everything out of pocket and then reimbursing you later. And taking it to the place that you need to take it to, that you feel comfortable, that's huge as well. Over 1 million drivers have been helped by Car Shield. They're America's #1 auto protection company. So whether you're worried about your AC going out or your GPS not working or your engine faulting, this is what it's all about with Car Shield. My car, I don't worry about it, but that's because I have Car Shield. You should do the same. Don't be on the hook and paying thousands of dollars for repairs. Get Car Shield and protect yourself. See today why Car Shield cars go farther. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. That's carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is the Chad Benson Show. We cover all things animal. Last week we had an attack on a woman where she was swallowed whole by a 23-foot reticulated python. Producer Phil is the great producer of the Chad Benson Show, along with producer Anthony. Producer Phil likes to tell the world. Producer Phil, explain to everybody about nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up.
It was a suspected bear attack that killed the 39-year-old woman while walking her dogs in Durango, Colorado Friday. The dogs returned home without her boyfriend finding her mauled body in the woods. Wildlife officials later discovering a 200-pound female black bear and her 2 cubs nearby and euthanizing them. In their stomachs, human remains. An autopsy will be performed on the woman's body and the remains will be formally identified.
Yeah. First of all, here's something to know about bears. If you see cubs, you turn and go the other way. Number one thing right there. If you see cubs, you turn and go. What did we just talk about? That little girl getting spanked at school? What did I say? Papa bear? Mama bear? Bears and cubs? Not good. You turn and you leave. Because where there usually is a cub, there is Mama Bear. And Mama Bear will come a-hunting. Not to feed, but to protect. Secondly, It was an area that is protected. The bears are protected. It's kind of like a sanctuary. So there are plenty of bears in and around there. And the final thing is her dogs didn't really do anything, did they? We're fine. I don't know what happened to her. Chad's not very nice. I'm just saying, we saw it, and we're like, this isn't good, and then we took off. I don't know. We thought she was behind us. So we were like, she's not? Whoa. So they went, they found, they killed, and the cubs as well. Not because they thought there was going to be a situation where this bear had some sort of hunger for flesh. It's just what they do. It's a shame. It is. It's like, why is it the bear's fault? The bears just do what bears do. I think if you go, like for me, right? Like I go in the ocean and I get eaten by a shark. I would let everybody know, look, if something happens to me and I get eaten by a shark, it's leave the shark alone. This is what it does. Right? Like I'm there. I'm there. And I think they feel the same way when it comes to bears and other things. Now, polar bears, or Pizzly bears, which are now grizzly bears and polar bears that have been combined to make just the world's most terrifying creature on land, they do actively hunt. Alligators, crocodiles, actively hunt humans. If it's there and the opportunity is there, they'll take it. I don't think this is one of those. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Just know, got to be careful when you're out in nature, because as we all know, nature will mess you up. Why can't you buy one? I found this interesting. Great article today. It's nearly impossible to buy an original Bob Ross painting. By the way, just to let you know, since 1995, that's when he died, he is a staple, a cultural staple. He's got Chia Pet Perm, right? He's got meme-worthy sayings everywhere. On YouTube, he's got almost 500 million views. But the reality is, trying to find some of these are nearly impossible. There's a few out there. And by the way, just to let you know, Da Vinci, 20 paintings, right? Pollock, 363, Rembrandt, 600, Van Gogh, 900, Dali, 15, Munch, Monet, in the twos, Picasso at 13,500. Bob Ross has 30,000 paintings. But finding them, because there was an incorporation, people run it, and they just don't allow it to get out there. Some people do have Bob Ross paintings, because some of them he gave away, and early on they didn't quite, and they sell for a ton. In fact, one woman talked about the fact that she's got a Monet, she's got a Picasso, and she goes, the king of my art, though, is my Bob Ross, because he's a cultural icon. But finding them is hard. Finding them. But when you do, expect to pay a pretty penny for the Bob Ross paintings, up to 6 figures.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Are you going to be one of these folks now? We no longer going to see the President of the United States outside with a mask on?
Sure. Look, you and I took our masks off when I came in because look at the distance we are. But if we were, in fact, sitting there talking to one another close, I'd have my mask on and I bet you'd have a mask, even though we've both been vaccinated. And so it's a small precaution to take that has a profound impact. It's a patriotic responsibility, for God's sake.
What? No, it's not. Stop it. Look, I think we're all kind of past the mask thing. We don't want to debate it, hash it out, fight it anymore. I think we're at the point now where it's like either you got vaccinated or you didn't get vaccinated. You chose to or you chose not to. Either way, it's your choice. I don't care. I don't. If you got vaccinated, don't tell the people who didn't get vaccinated how stupid they are. And if you didn't get vaccinated, don't tell the other people what kind of sheeple they are. People made their choices. You get on with life. 60 feet, 6 inches, 100 feet. How good's the air? Where you are. Are you in an enclosed space where they don't have great air circulations or filters? This is according to MIT. Doesn't matter how far you're away then. Secondly, you guys are both vaccinated. President Biden. I'm just curious as to why the charade, as I've been calling it. Because that's what we do. I don't know who's watching it going, oh yeah, I'm totally going to get into that. Who? Anybody? No, they're not. Nobody's sitting there going, man, you know what? I know for the last 13 months I've fought hard to not wearing a mask, but I just saw Biden wear a mask, and I thought I probably should. Nobody's doing that. Nobody is doing that. The people that will not get vaccinated, and that number has not changed from about 20%. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It is there. That number is staying steady. The rest of the people, looks like they've gone out and done it. There are still some agnostics, people that aren't quite sure about being vaccinated, whether or not they trust it, they want to give a little time. They're doing their due diligence, totally fine. And when it's convenient, they'll take the opportunity. Again, Johnson & Johnson, the number one searched vaccine. Why? One and done. Simple, easy. Now it's kids. When are the kids going to get a vaccine? Are you going to allow your kid to get a vaccine? I think that's a fair question for a lot of people.
Pfizer was the first vaccine maker to come on board and to get that green light from the FDA. And almost immediately, they started to give the vaccine to trial participants under the age of 16 between 12 and 15. They've looked at that data and they said it's extraordinarily effective. It's 100% effective. So they immediately have gone to the FDA. FDA is looking at this data right now. We expect any day that they could come out and say whether or not they are going to allow this for that age group.
And it's probably going to happen. For me, look, it goes back to personal preference. I think we overdo it with some kids. My kids are vaccinated. I get them vaccinated. This is one of those things where I don't necessarily think you have to. I just don't. Jack's 10, so he's not in that age group, but I think we already dipped them in Perel. I think we already, I look in the future and I think, how many kids out there, it's like they get a scratch, they're on to antibiotics and all kinds of stuff. We're at a point where I'm worried for the superbug that's coming for them because they've not built up their immune system and they've not really let it stretch its legs. And if this was a situation where it was really deadly for kids, of course. But the numbers say something completely different. Well, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But we don't take the same kind of vigor and approach when it comes to the flu, and the flu is far more deadly, numbers-wise, than this. But we're getting to a place where I think it's time to stop the charade, stop the as they call it, the COVID theater, and look up, and for the president, Biden, to come out and say, look, here's the deal. You guys, July 4th, it's open. We're partying. We're having fun. We're hanging out with our family. We're hanging out with our friends. We're eating hot dogs, drinking beer, blowing stuff up. We're celebrating who we are. We're moving on with our lives. We're not going to sit here and allow people who decided they didn't want to get it. We're not going to be beholden to them. It's time to get going. It's time to get going. You'll have more than enough opportunity and ample time to get it. And if you choose not to do it, that's you. And right now we are swimming in it.
Expanding eligibility is key as the demand for vaccines has started to dwindle. Daily shots down 22%. In Texas, weekly shots plummeting more than 50%. And this week, the state slated to have a surplus of 500,000 doses with no clinics asking for them.
Yeah, and that's going to continue to be that way going forward, especially if the numbers continue to come off. So we'll see what takes place. We'll see what takes place. While all this is going on, then you've got India, which, by the way, is an absolute hot mess. And that is being kind.
There is now a global effort to help India, with the US sending medical supplies and other help because the government there seems totally unprepared for the magnitude of this situation. The US travel ban comes into effect at midnight tonight, with Indians across the United States doing what they can to help loved ones overseas.
Yeah. It is a nightmare. I mean, it is an absolute nightmare over there. People are just dying in the streets. They're burning bodies wherever they can, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better, and they're just now starting to feel. And the rich, because remember, it's very much a caste system there, the rich have bounced. They're like, we're out of here, see ya, we're gone, and boom, they've headed off to the places they know. They have everything at their disposal that they need, and it's going to be, like you said, like James Lagerman there said, hey, guess what? This is a situation where they don't know what to do. Because they didn't really feel it. They thought they had it under control. And we've asked ourselves for the last year, well, it's really weird, right? Like India, we thought India would get it, and it would just be like wildfire. They really didn't have it up until about a month and a half ago, where it was like, whoa. And now it's, oh, my God. Same thing with Africa. Africa has not really had an issue. Outside of South Africa. And I've often wondered, like, why hasn't there been that? Because that was always like the big fear. Because we knew we'd eventually get it under control here as far as the way that we could get the vaccine, and we weren't great at fighting it through mitigation through precaution. But once we had this, we knew this was going to be a situation where we get on point. But for a lot of places, I often wondered. You go look at Argentina; they've got no hospital beds. They got nothing. Brazil's been a hot mess. I don't even think they're trying at this point. So this is going to get ugly continually here as we move forward in the coming weeks and months to see, because there's 1.35 billion Indians. It's not the most hygienically clean area in certain places. It is people that are on top of each other on a daily basis. They build up, not out. They're not the most healthy nation on the planet, and they lack for a lot of modern resources. So to say that this could be an absolute disaster of epic proportion, I think it might be an understatement. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Are you optimistic?
Nearly two-thirds are optimistic about the direction of the country in a new ABC News Ipsos poll. 513 adults were surveyed Friday and Saturday. Numbers could be off 4.7 percentage points, plus or minus. 52% say the federal government should spend to revitalize the economy, even if it raises taxes. 23% think the country has become more united since President Biden took office. 28% say more divided.
Yeah. Are we more divided? I don't really feel that way. You know, we're fighting less, I think. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Trump is not out tweeting. I like the fact that we're not out fighting, but I also feel like that should never have happened. Should never have happened. None of that should have happened with Trump. None of it should have. Having that kind of power to effectively yank Trump, and that to me was just, and trust. I mean, you can look around. I mean, it's much calmer in a lot of ways than it used to be. And by the way, both sides are trying to figure out how to the right has no idea how to attack Biden. He is. They don't know, right? Like it's like beige. Like you don't hate it, but you don't really love it. It's like, it's not the worst. It's not. It does its job, I guess. Like the stucco coming in the other color. It's kind of what it is. And the left, they're trying to figure out a way to sell him, and they can't. And the numbers, by the way, television-wise, which for the media side of things is massive, is dour. He loves it. But they're trying to figure it all out. We don't know what to do. I mean, if it wasn't for the coronavirus and the tensions that have gone on in this country because of the George Floyd case and several other things, they'd have nothing. You think they're going to sit around all day and talk about, let's talk about his move in Afghanistan? Or let's talk about, they're not. I think the optimism, and what did I say several months ago? Biden will unite the country by boring us. I think we're on our way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. MyPillow has slippers now. My slippers are awesome. Took a few years for them to put this together, but let me tell you something. It is a home run. Moccasin and slip-on styles. Several different colors. Leather suede on the outside, right? Faux fur. Comfortable. And the sole changes everything. It's indoor, outdoor slippers. I'm talking about comfort like you cannot believe, and it is amazing. You put them on, you can wear them all day. 3 different levels. First, the my patented MyPillow fill, followed by memory foam. And then the third, which is incredible, patent pending, an amazing gel made 100% from soybeans right here in the USA. Yeah, baby. Super incredible, super comfortable. I wear them all the time, especially after I go work out, play golf, whatever it is. It's just nice to slip on, and it's very comforting. Now's your chance to get it. 40% off, 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty, several different colors. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. When you do that, check out all the other deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the towels and the mattress toppers and, of course, the MyPillow, and grab those huge discounts right now. MyPillow.com. Get your My Slippers. Use the promo code Benson. 40% off right now. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Whenever this game is rescheduled, there'll be a similar, protest. But I'd imagine at that point, the authorities, the police, the stewards will have a much greater awareness of what might happen, so it'll be much more difficult for it to happen again.
Yes, yesterday, Manchester United, Liverpool, arguably the biggest fixture in the Premier League season, was canceled because protesters showed up, turned into a bit of rioting and clashes with the police. Teams couldn't leave their hotels, and it was ugly.
Again, a lot of protests, a lot of banners, a lot of noise, and from that point on, it just seemed to escalate. We've seen the fans invaded the pitch. They got onto the pitch. They were playing football on the pitch. They were causing havoc, basically, which is the whole idea of the protest, I guess.
Yes, and the reason's simple. Imagine this. What if the NBA, 5 or 6 of these teams, right, the big teams, big teams. Lakers, big team. Right now, the Golden State Warriors, big team. Celtics. Right? Like the foundational teams decided, hey, we're going to still play in the NBA, but we're setting up another league, and we're going to keep all that money to ourselves. And that, by the way, is going to be even more money. And that's what several of these teams tried to do a couple weeks ago. And it went to hell in a handbasket. Most of these teams are owned by foreigners. The team that owns Manchester United is the Glazer family, which owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're an American family. Stan Kroenke owns Arsenal. He owns the Boston Red Sox and many others. And now everybody's mad and wants them all out, fearing that you guys were here and you were setting up something behind everybody's back where you guys were going to profit, nobody was going to get anything, and you were essentially going to destroy the game itself.
I imagine the Glazer family will ride this out, as they always do, because the club makes too much money for them not to be here. If the club started costing them money, maybe different, but right now, they're making money out of it, and I suppose they could ride out the storm.
Yeah, and I think that's what they'll do. And this is a huge thing around the world, but you saw yesterday what took place and the protest, and that's coming. And in a day and age when people's voices are heard, and you'd be surprised that the fans were heard for the first time in a long time in places where they feel like, hey, you know what, we were being taken advantage of. We're being absolutely taken advantage of. And it was crazy to watch. And I don't think they'll get rid of it because they make too much damn money. Again, just way too much money. I don't even know what the team's worth if you were to sell it. But so many of these owners were foreign owners. They didn't understand what was going on. And the way it works in Europe is you have a relegation system, so you can relegate down a league and you can come up a league. And the Premier League is where you want to be there. And, Serie A in Italy and La Liga in Spain and the Bundesliga in Germany and Ligue 1 in France. They wanted all these big teams to come together and play and profit and share a giant pie, all while still going back and sharing some of the pie back there. All while going and playing in the Champions League, another tournament where all the big teams get together and sharing in the pie there, but not giving any of this. And I'll tell you what, that was it was interesting. But the expense of these teams, unlike our teams, you buy a team here, right? Like this weekend, the Kraken, Seattle's hockey team, made their final payment, so they're now officially the 32nd team in the NHL. Well, from here on out, it's about maintaining. You have certain things you have to do, but there's a certain kind of built-in cost, where in soccer there is no built-in cost. And it's truly the haves and the have-nots. It's going to be weird to see what happens. Wonder when our fans are going to storm and be upset over how much money somebody makes or what the owners do, or if that would ever happen. How would LeBron tweet about that? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I just didn't know I was pregnant, and then this guy just came out of nowhere. But yeah, just overwhelming, and just nice that there was 3 NICU nurses on the plane and a doctor.
Yeah, Lavi Muanga gave birth to a baby. How about that? Heading to Hawaii from Salt Lake City to Honolulu. Doctor, a couple nurses were on the plane when, lo and behold, somebody was having a baby. And as we all know, when babies start to come, they're coming for a reason, and here they go. Next thing you know, boom, it's happening. And it's on the plane, and it's right there, and oh my Lord, it's go time. And then when all is said and done, you got to cut the cord.
Amanda's like, "Are you guys good?" And we're like, "No, there's a baby." And so Amanda comes behind and she ties off the cord and cuts the cord, and then we take the baby down to the floor and start kind of working on him. And then Dr. Glenn came in too.
People are asking questions. Well, why were they even on the airplane? Well, apparently that lady sounded like she didn't know what was happening. Secondly, that she was even pregnant. Delta does not prohibit pregnant travelers. Then comes the other thing. What's the baby's nationality? According to the State Department's Foreign Affairs Manual, a U.S. registered aircraft outside of U.S. airspace is not considered to be part of U.S. territory. A child born on such an aircraft outside of U.S. airspace does not acquire U.S. citizenship by reason of place of birth. But if a child is born over U.S. airspace, they would be granted U.S. citizenship. They were over the ocean. Not quite sure how this will work. Representative from L.A. County Health and Vital Records said the parents would need to register the baby's birth certificate in the county where the plane was passing. Some people are saying, well, other experts, families should take up birth certificate issues in the state where they land. So we'll see what happens from here. So you have to wear a mask or you get in trouble, but if you're going to have a baby, you're like, yeah, it's all right. Welcome to the world of weird. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So what is happening? It's a huge, huge, huge lawsuit that's going to court. Epic Games, creator of Fortnite, and Apple are getting ready to do battle.
Epic Games added a new feature to Fortnite, allowing gamers to bypass Apple's App Store for certain in-game purchases, like a new look for a character or a celebratory dance move. Apple fired back, booting the game and millions of their users off the platform. Apple says this control over the App Store is vital to keeping its system safe and secure while protecting the privacy of its users. A case with potentially far-reaching implications for consumers.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And this is the battle that be. So if you're with Apple, so you have open source and closed source. Apple's whole thing is they like controlling everything. They want to control all of it. They would like to control what's taking place inside of there. And they have a bunch of reasons why they say, hey, this is what we do and why we do it. But this could be massive. And people are looking at this because a lot of people are going, just like with YouTube, right? Like you'll hear stories of people getting demonetized. Well, we're going to demonetize you, but we're going to still allow your videos to play and make us money, but we're not going to share any of that money because we didn't like the content that you have out there. You see several people, Steven Crowder being one, that is suing, saying, you're playing my videos, but you're telling me I can't make any money off my videos. This is insane.
Epic is the creator of the wildly popular Fortnite. The two tech giants about to go head-to-head at a California courtroom after the gaming company filed a lawsuit against Apple, alleging the App Store has enormous power and uses its monopoly to coerce developers. Apple CEO Tim Cook and the head of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, could both testify in the coming weeks.
Yeah. And that's what Apple does. Their whole thing is they want to get you, they want to capture you. You've got to go by their rules, and they're going to be taking a good portion of what it is that you make. And this has the potential to really change a lot of things, not just for Epic, but for a ton of creators.
One outcome could be that Apple is forced to allow other app stores onto the iPhone, which could mean less expensive stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we'd hate to have that. And then Apple on the other side is saying, no. This has nothing to do with that. You guys broke terms of service. It's basically what they're going to say. You broke terms of service, so that's why we kicked you off, and that's where this battle is going to go. It will be very interesting. And this goes back to another one of those things. So these are little things that you don't think, but you have kids at home, they play Fortnite. This has implications towards maybe you spending less money on Fortnite, but also opening up different avenues and making things cheaper along the way is the potential. Apple's whole thing is, well, you're allowing people to do something. Essentially, you're allowing people to go outside of what we consider to be something that we can control. So therefore, you're putting all of our other users at quote unquote risk of having their data stolen. Is that true? Probably not. But it will be very interesting to see if they can, in some way, shape, or form, come to some sort of agreement. Because there's a lot of people out there who get frustrated. I mean, Apple's whole thing is they want you essentially to be beholden to them, and they're going to give you something for it, which is access to the Apple Store. But you've got to be on there. But it's frustrating. You ask developers how frustrated they get with working with Apple. It's a necessary evil, and Epic is finally a group that's big enough and powerful enough to look at them and say, all right, well, we can do this. And there are other games and developers who are behind and willing to throw in money at this as well to see how this plays out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I love this. This mom is awesome. She's getting pushed back by a lot of people. She shouldn't be. She shouldn't be. She's on TikTok sharing the value of money to her kids. right? Which is great. So I do this with mine. Right? You get X amount of dollars a week, and we're going to take some money out of there. And this is what we do.
Want to teach your kids the value of money? Here's how I do it. Every week, my daughter has a list of chores. If those chores were completed daily, she will get $7 at the end of the week. She is then required to pay her bills for living in the house. $1 for food, water, electric, internet, and rent.
Okay, cool. All right. That's nothing wrong with that. That's learning, hey, life is going to cost you, right? So I don't want you to be, life's already going to be a giant shot in the grundle. Let's teach you how to avoid some of that and not have sticker shock to the grundle.
So in total, she pays $5 for bills. She has $2 left over, which she can keep and save or spend. I then take that $5 and I put it into a savings for her so that when she turns 18, she can learn that she made all that money on her own and know the value of money.
I'd give her a little bit more. Depends. You fluctuate with age, right? Fluctuate with age. But that's still pretty good. I mean, if you think about it. It's over 20% of your income you're saving. That's $1 a day, adjusted for inflation and who knows what. But I think it's a great idea. People are like, oh, I can't believe she does that. I think it's a smart idea. Same thing with what I try to implore to the kids all the time. Dad, I want these new Nikes. Why not buy a share of Nike? I know it's not the same, but trying to show them that's ways that you do it. I do it with my little brother, and I've done it for a long time. He's the oldest of my little brothers, and he and I have just been chatting a little while ago because now he's really into investing. And it's been very interesting to see the way that that's gone with my little ones and the way that they look at some of that stuff. But I think it's a smart thing to do. I wish more parents would do that. Take initiative to do little things. Like this, it pays off huge in ways that I don't think people realize. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens. Rough Greens. You guys hear me talk about Rough Greens. K9 Vitasmart, Omega-3, 6, 9, probiotics, vitamins, minerals, vegetables. It's the supplement you put on top of your dog's food. It is incredible. Been giving it to my dog Doodle, who, I love him to death, but he was a hot mess for a while. We thought we were going to lose him. But I also give it to my puppies, and their coats are amazing, including Doodle's coat. And he's long in the tooth, if you will. They're happy and healthy, and it is awesome. It is not dog food. Rough Greens, I tell you guys, it's a dog food. It's not. It's a supplement. You sprinkle on your dog's food. They love it. They eat it up. They'll lick the bowl. It is awesome. His arthritic hips, Doodle, my older dog, virtually gone. Fatty tumor that he had, you don't even notice he has issues with any of his joints or anything. He runs around like a puppy. It is truly incredible. Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. You pay for the shipping. It's that simple. And they do what? They send it to you for free. So a free bag of K9 Vitasmart from Rough Greens. All you have to do is pay for shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Pay for the shipping, get your free bag, put it to the test. Or call 833-MY-DOG-77. 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo!
I would count myself in one of those people that, it's not my favorite thing, but, okay, I can manage it. To people who talk about the fact that they don't leave their home.
Yes. Why won't they leave their home? What are they scared of? Is it the coronavirus? No. Is it something worse? For some people it is. It's a bug.
After 17 years underground, trillions of cicadas are expected to start emerging. Swarms of the massive insects and their loud mating calls can bring anxiety for some.
They are coming. We're going to have to be living with these things for a while. So what can we do to help each other figure out how to cope with them?
Michelle Dillingham was unable to get out of her car in Ohio in the last big swarm in 2004. She's now started a Facebook community to help others.
A lot of the discussion is like strategies for like protective clothing.
One rule for the Cincinnati Cicada Phobia Safe Space: no posting pictures of the bugs.
No posting pictures of the cicadas. Bugs freak people out. They do. Freak people out. And these are one of those things. It's the noise, right? It's the noise. They're here. 17 years. Remember that movie Jeepers Creepers? Was it like every 25 years he emerges to feed? These aren't like that. They're going to do their thing and they'll be gone. But the noise, coupled with the fact that they're not the prettiest looking critters, makes people freak out. And as we all know, nature will not only mess you up, it could weird you out. Speaking of nature and weirding out, how would you like a beer that is awful and it's supposed to be awful?
If this was the beer of the future, I would probably drink less beer. Beer is such a biological and an agricultural product that it's going to be so affected by climate change. So it's kind of interesting to think about what beer could look like in this world that we're trying to avoid. We wanted to think about how climate change would affect things like agriculture and shifting climate zones and intense weather events. So some of the ingredients we chose were, we picked a smoke malt. And so that's supposed to emulate forest fires.
So the smoke malt will emulate forest fires. So if you've wanted to taste something that tastes like charred, burnt out forest, this is the beer for you with Torched Earth Ale.
We also wanted to pick some more drought and weather-tolerant grains, so we picked buckwheat and millet. It just doesn't have a lot of the things, including that nice sweet balance with the bitterness and like that nice fresh hop aroma to it. And I think that's just going to be really hard to accomplish in the future where we don't have access to all these great ingredients. I hope people will react to this beer, and I think that they'll see that this is a future we don't want. I hope that they'll understand that we can still change things. We can make it so this doesn't become the future of beer, that beer can continue the way it is now and it can be that great thing that we all love.
Gross. We're like talking about this today. Like, who buys this? Oh, I know who buys it. Millennials who feel guilty. So I think we're going to have, so we have got white privilege, right, and white guilt. Now we're going to have climate guilt, because we live in a Western society that has been good to us, and maybe not always we have been good to it, and people are enjoying the fruits of said labor of the people that came before and did some stuff to the climate that they didn't like, but still managed to enjoy the electric cars and the electricity and all of the other things. You're going to have a little guilt to that, so we should buy this awful beer. Sounds awful. It does. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text. Caitlyn Jenner running for governor. If the governor gets recalled, remember, they'll have a vote to decide if they want him to be governor or not. Gavin Newsom. And then if it's a not, then Caitlyn may be the next governor. Caitlyn, of course, used to be Bruce. Lou's got to explain that for those of you who don't know. Was asked about transgenders in sports.
Hi, Caitlyn. So there's legislation in various states to ban biological boys who are trans from playing girls' sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
This is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair. And we have to protect girls' sports in our school.
But if someone transitions and now identifies as a girl, isn't it delegitimizing their identity to prevent
Have a good day.
No, it's not. Look, it's a weird thing that we have like 30 states that are doing this, but there are a lot of girls out there who won't say, because in the woke world, they're afraid to say some of these things, but they feel like it's unfair. They feel like, and it's always a male transitioning to a girl where you never see somebody complain because it just doesn't happen. I said earlier, let's just get rid of genders altogether and we'll just have everybody play sports. But what if the girls don't make a team? Well, then what? What happens then? I mean, you're going to find a lot of this. And if anybody was to talk about something like this, at least Caitlyn has firsthand knowledge of what would be fair and not fair, because of the whole thing where he/she won the Olympics. Just throwing it out there. You guys have a great day. Got through Monday. Follow along across all social medias at Chad Benson Show. We'll do it again tomorrow. As always, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.